How's everybody doing? Good. Good to see you guys.
What are your, coming out of fall camp and week one, do you have, what keeps you up at night, I guess, going into this week? I mean, is there any sort of things lingering in your mind that, your top concern or top worry?
Yeah, I'd say opening week, sometimes preparing for the unknown, right? That's a difficult thing that all of us as coaches have to have our guys ready for what you expect, but ready for really everything, right? So as a defensive guy, we don't get to punt. We don't get to throw the ball away, right? We defend it all. So that's an important thing for us, is our guys ready no matter what gets thrown at us.
Matt, when you prepare for two different quarterbacks, what's the mechanics of that behind the scenes? I mean, it stands to reason that it would take more time away from other things, but how does that work in terms of how you allocate staff to deal with it, and what does it maybe take preparation away from when you're trying to deal with two different
people? It's a great question. I think a couple things. Holistically, how a system has functioned for a number of years, and then you try to best guess, what you see on film of those guys do best and how those things could be featured from that standpoint. Obviously, in an opening game, you have a lot of time, right? So there's a lot of time spent in the offseason of studying an opponent. So from a taking away from other things, not so much in an opening game. Other times in a game plan week when you have shorter amount of time and you have two drastically different type of players, then you can say, okay, hey, what's the plan for this versus the plan for that? And sometimes those packages have to be tighter because of that. You can't just smear maybe your whole defense over everything from that standpoint. But I would say in an opening game, it's okay, what's the overall approach? What's the flavor of each individual player? And then, you best attack from there. But you have a lot of time in the summer to plan those things.
It's kind of cliche to just sort of ask about your experience at Ohio State and overlaying that onto preparing for this game, but what's the balance, I guess, you want to strike between feeling a certain confidence in, I've been inside it, I recognize this that they're trying to do or that they're trying to do, but maybe not wanting to just sort of assume that everything from your experience there last year can translate straight into this game plan?
For sure. This is an elite offense, right? Ryan Day has had some of the best offenses in college football his entire time at Ohio State. So while there is some familiarity from, what the people look like and how they function from that standpoint, you still got to go stop them, right? And that's the biggest thing is, okay, what are the fundamentals of defense, regardless of who we're playing against in opening games, how we tackle, how we vice the ball in space. Those are really the biggest things as far as execution on our part compared to saying, hey, I know exactly what's going to happen, right? They're going to have things that he's never shown before, different than when I was there, things like that. So it's about us.
Hey, Coach. Coach Allen mentioned when I asked him about positions that may be, just kind of a little bit unknown going in, he mentioned secondary. Obviously, you're back there working with those guys. Just, I guess, how do you feel about going in with so many new faces? And he mentioned obviously their receivers and their ability in space and your guys' job of tackling them and reducing those explosive plays. I guess it's how do you go about doing that without giving away too many secrets?
Yeah, it's a great challenge for our guys. First off, on our end, we do have a number of new faces, and it's about making sure those guys have a great understanding of what we're trying to do and be able to go play fast and execute. Because if not, you're not going to be able to do anything at the level that you want. And then also it's knowing your personnel, right? Knowing that here's some very explosive wide receivers, and then it's my job, right? Our job as a defense staff to put them in position to be able to execute. And then it's a competitive mindset from that standpoint, especially when you have young players. It's how you compete, how you finish, not trying to, it really, no matter who you're playing, it's about us and how we fight and how we compete, right? So that's been a big motto of ours all camp.
Coach Allen kind of alluded to the preparation for Ohio State's quarterbacks, going back to that, mentioning that you guys had to go back and find high school film of these guys. What was that process like? Maybe some behind the scenes of the nuts and bolts of how you guys have gone about that.
Yeah, really nothing more than what he said to you, to be honest. You say, okay, who are the guys that are playing? What's every bit of film that we could possibly look at, from that standpoint, and say, what do they do best? What are the things that we feel like we have to take away, right? And go from there. But just, purely what the film shows and what we're able to see objectively.
Obviously, you guys have a lot of new faces on your defensive line, and for Ohio State, when they're going through their offense, their offensive line has a lot of new guys playing. How important, have you stressed to your guys on the D-line that with an offense as explosive as Ohio State's, that's a battle you guys can, it's a real place you have to win, that battle at the line of scrimmage?
For sure. I think regardless of who you're playing, it starts in the trenches for us. So that's been a big point of emphasis from us. It all starts up front on defense, regardless of the opponent, and then you say, okay, hey, here's how they function and what we need to do best to prepare for it from that standpoint. But again, it comes back to us, our mentality, the guys that we have up front, hand in the dirt, how we're going to play from that standpoint.
Coach, Kobe Minor is a guy that several people kind of called out his leadership and said he kind of stepped into a leadership role pretty quickly after he got here. Just, are there any examples in your mind that come to mind of his leadership, and what sort of role do you see him playing in your secondary?
He's had a great camp. He has speed to be able to cover. He has physicality in the run game to be able to mix it up. That's flashed definitely during camp from that standpoint. And he doesn't have to say a lot. It's his work ethic. It's the way that he prepares every single day. He's been a professional from that standpoint. So I think people respect the way that he carries himself and the mentality he brings, which I think from a corner perspective, mentality is the number one thing.
Matt, over here. Oh, okay, sorry. Just the process of being now the play caller and working in Coach Allen's defense, how has that come about? Or how has that gone?
It's been great. First off, it starts with, you guys know Coach Allen, what an unbelievable man he is, an unbelievable coach. So to be under his mentorship has been fantastic from that standpoint. And obviously there's a defensive system that's in place that's had a large amount of success throughout his career. And it's been awesome from that standpoint. And I can't say enough about the guys in that room, Paul Randolph, Chad Wilt, Casey, Teagarden, phenomenal. Brandon Shelby. These guys are unbelievable. You know what I mean? So the guys that you're surrounded with Coach Allen, it's a really special group of guys. It's been great. Yeah, from a play calling standpoint, been great. Yeah, I've obviously done it before, and I have great comfortability with it, with the system, with who we are and our answers within that. I think that's an important thing as a play caller is you have answers, based on attack that you get and things like that. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
Matt, can you talk a little bit about Aaron Casey and Noah Pierre, both sixth-year guys for Indiana, and what they've meant to you as a coach?
Yeah, they've been phenomenal. For me as a new guy, I tell them it's my first day at school. It's not yours. You've been here 6 years. So they show me the ropes from the start here. To me, when you have two guys like that have earned it on and off the field, it's pretty special, right? And those guys are like coaches on the field. Those guys are leaders in the locker room, leaders in the community. Those are special, special guys, and they've made me better as a coach, made me better as a man. Obviously, Noah's in the room that I'm responsible for, and his vocal presence, the way that he leads on and off the field is really special, and I would say the same thing for Ace. So I can't say enough about those guys and think the world of them. Thanks, guys.